नमस्कार दोस्तों, स्वागत है आपका इस प्रीमियर वीडियो में। तो आज मैं आपको बताने जा रहा हूँ द अल्टीमेट कीबोर्ड शॉर्टकट कीज़ ऑफ विंडोज़ 11। जी हाँ, कंप्यूटर रिलेटेड वीडियो लाया हूँ मैं आज। तो चलिए फिर शुरू करते हैं। और मैं आपको पहले ही बता दूँ, ये वीडियो आप लोगों के लिए ही बनाया गया है और ये वीडियो काफ़ी लंबा होने वाला है। तो आप लोग इस वीडियो को पूरा वॉच कीजिए। और जो लोग कंप्यूटर एग्ज़ाम या प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं तो उनके लिए तो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। ठीक है, बेसिक टॉपिक है ये। तो फिर आप सब इस वीडियो को उन तक भेजें जो कंप्यूटर एग्ज़ाम या कंप्यूटर सीख रहे हैं, उनके लिए भी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण टॉपिक है ये। तो दोस्तों चलिए फिर शुरू करते हैं आज का ये टॉपिक।
The ultimate guide to keyboard shortcuts in Windows 11. Most users are familiar with using their computer with a keyboard and mouse. After all, this is the most intuitive method for most people. The mouse makes it easy to know what you're pointing at, selecting, and clicking, so even first timers don't take too long to get the hang of it. But for proficient users, the keyboard can be a much more powerful tool, and it allows you to get things done faster. That's why there are a ton of keyboard shortcuts in Windows 11 that help with exactly that, and we've compiled a list of them to help you out. Keyboard shortcuts can do all kinds of things, whether that's something as simple as copying text to taking a screenshot, opening your notifications, and more. Here are the ones you need to know. Navigate this article. Use Windows 11 features and apps with keyboard shortcuts. Windows 11 desktop with quick settings panel opened. You may already know the Windows key on your keyboard for opening the start menu, but did you know you can combine it with all kinds of other keys to open specific apps and features in Windows 11? Here are the most notable things you can do with this key. Windows key plus A. Open the quick settings panel. This lets you turn Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, airplane mode, and more features on or off. You can also adjust the brightness of your screen and computer volume in this panel. Windows key plus C. Open chat with Microsoft Teams. This new feature in Windows 11 gives you a quick panel to see your recent messages and contacts in Microsoft Teams, plus you can start meetings and calls directly from here. Windows key plus D. Show or hide the desktop. Showing the desktop means all your apps are no longer visible, and hiding it restores all your apps in their correct place. Windows key plus A. Open File Explorer. Windows key plus F. Open the Feedback Hub and immediately take a screenshot. This lets you more easily send feedback to Microsoft about a problem you may have encountered. Windows key plus G. Open the Xbox Game Bar. This lets you record videos, take screenshots, and access various features while playing a game. Windows key plus Alt plus B. Turn HDR on or off. This requires an HDR compatible monitor and a recent version of the Xbox Game Bar app. Windows key plus Alt plus R. Start recording a video of your app or game using the Xbox Game Bar. Windows key plus H. Launch voice typing. This allows you to dictate text rather than write it by hand. Windows key plus I. Open the Settings app. Windows key plus Pause. Open the About page in Settings. This includes information about your computer hardware and Windows itself. Windows key plus K. Open the Cast panel. This lets you connect to wireless displays that support Miracast. Windows key plus L. Lock your PC. This keeps all your apps open but requires you to unlock your PC before using them again. Windows key plus M. Minimize all your windows. Windows key plus Shift plus M. Restore your minimized windows. This only works if you're still on the desktop. Windows key plus N. Show the notification center and calendar. This is a new keyboard shortcut in Windows 11. Windows key plus O. Lock device orientation. For tablets and convertibles, this prevents the display from rotating when you rotate your PC. Windows key plus P. Change the display mode for multiple monitors. If you have multiple displays connected, you can choose to only have one of the screens active, duplicate the display across all screens, or use the screens to extend your display area. Windows key plus Q. Open Quick Assist. This allows you to receive or provide help to another user by connecting remotely over the internet. Windows key plus R. Open the Run dialog. This allows you to open any app on your PC, as long as you know the name of the executable file for the app. Windows key plus S. Open Windows Search. You can search for files, apps, and search the web here. Windows key plus Shift plus S. Take a screenshot using the Snipping tool. After pressing the key, you can still choose your preferred capture mode, including freeform, rectangle, window, and full screen. This includes all connected monitors. Windows key plus U, open the accessibility settings page. Windows key plus Ctrl plus C, turn color filters on or off. This feature needs to be enabled in the accessibility settings first, and it lets you change how colors are displayed to account for various forms of color blindness. Windows key plus V, open your clipboard history. This allows you to see multiple items you've copied, including text, links, and images. Out of the box, this feature is disabled, but you can turn it on from here, too. Windows key plus W, open the Widgets panel. This new Windows 11 feature contains widgets for things like the weather, OneDrive photos, calendar, and more. You can also see news from topics you're interested in here. Windows key plus X, open the quick link menu, equivalent to right-clicking the start icon on your taskbar. This contains links to system features like Settings, File Explorer, Task Manager, and more. Windows key plus Y, Windows Mixed Reality devices only, switch input between Windows Mixed Reality and the desktop. Windows key plus Z, open the Snap Layouts panel. This feature, added in Windows 11, makes it easier to put multiple apps side by side on your screen. Windows plus, period, or, semicolon, open the emoji panel. This lets you add emoji to any text field. Windows plus, comma, peek at the desktop. Your desktop is only visible as long as you hold one of the keys after pressing them. Then your windows are restored. Windows key plus Ctrl plus F, search for PCs on your network. This is meant for Azure Active Directory domains. Windows key plus Spacebar Cycle between languages and input methods. If multiple are installed, Windows key plus Shift plus Spacebar cycle backwards through the list. Windows key plus Ctrl plus Spacebar switch to the last used input method. Ctrl plus Shift switch to a different keyboard layout if multiple are available. For the same language, Ctrl plus Spacebar turn the Chinese IME on or off. If the Chinese language is installed, Windows key plus Ctrl plus Enter turn on narrator. This accessibility feature reads on-screen elements to make navigation easier for those with vision impairments. Windows key plus turn on the magnifier and zoom into the screen. Windows key plus, minus, zoom out with the magnifier. Windows key plus EAC, close the magnifier. Windows key plus, / begin IME reconversion. Windows key plus Ctrl plus Shift plus B, wake up your PC from a blank or black screen. Windows key plus PRTSCN, print screen, may be represented differently on different keyboards. Take a full screen screenshot and automatically save it to a file. Items are saved in the Pictures library in a folder called Screenshots. Windows key plus Alt plus PRTSCN, take a screenshot of the active game or window and save it into a file. This feature uses the Xbox game bar, and files are saved in the Videos library, in a folder called Captures, by default. PRTSCN, take a full screen screenshot and copy it to the clipboard, so you can paste it somewhere else without saving it as a file. You can also go to the Settings app > Accessibility > Keyboard to set the PRTSCN key to open the Snipping tool, making it the same as Windows key plus Shift plus S. Ctrl plus EAC, open the Start menu. Ctrl plus Shift plus EAC, open the Task Manager. Keyboard shortcuts for multitasking and window management. Task view in Windows 11. If you have multiple apps open, keyboard shortcuts can be a much more effective way of managing them, whether it's switching from one to the other or snapping them side by side. Here are a few ways you can manage your open apps with your keyboard. Windows key plus Tab, open Task view. This displays all your open apps as tiles so you can choose one to focus on. It also displays your virtual desktops. Alt plus Tab, switch to your last active window. Press Tab repeatedly while holding Alt to choose what window to switch to. Alt plus EAC, cycle through windows in the order in which they were opened. Ctrl plus Alt plus Tab, view all your open apps so you can choose one with the keyboard arrows. This is similar to Task View, but doesn't display your virtual desktops and is only visible in your current active monitor. Alt plus F4 close the active window or app. If used on the desktop, this opens the Windows Power menu. Windows key plus up arrow, maximize the active window so it takes up the entire desktop. Windows key plus Alt plus up arrow, snap the active window to the top half of your monitor. This is a new shortcut in Windows 11 and it will prompt you to choose an app to snap on the bottom half. Windows key plus down arrow, set the active window to a smaller size if it's maximized, hide the window into the taskbar if it's not maximized. Windows key plus alt plus down arrow, snap the active window to the bottom half of the screen. If the active window is currently taking up the entire screen, it will be made into a smaller size first, then you can press the keys again to snap it. This will prompt to choose an app for the top half if there isn't one yet. Windows key plus left arrow, snap the active window to the left half of the screen. Windows key plus right arrow, snap the active window to the right half of the screen. If you hold down the Windows key after snapping an app to half the screen, you can use one of the other arrows to snap the app into a quarter of the screen. You can also press the same arrow repeatedly to move windows to different monitors, still taking up half the screen. Windows key plus home, minimize all windows except the active window. Press again to restore the minimized windows. Windows key plus shift plus up arrow, stretch the active window to take up the entire vertical space, keeping the same width for non-maximized windows. The same shortcut with the down arrow reverses this. Windows key plus shift plus right arrow or left arrow, move the active window to a different monitor. Windows key plus Ctrl plus D, create a new virtual desktop. Windows key plus Ctrl plus left arrow or right arrow, switch between virtual desktops to the left or right. Windows key plus Ctrl plus F4 close the current virtual desktop. Any open apps are moved to the next virtual desktop in line. File Explorer keyboard shortcuts in Windows 11. The File Explorer is one of the core features of Windows 11, as it lets you view and manage all your files. There are a few shortcuts you can use to make this experience easier and faster using a keyboard. Alt plus D, set focus to the address bar. Ctrl plus A or Ctrl plus F or F3, set focus to the search bar. Ctrl plus N, open a new window, also works in some web browser. Ctrl plus W, close the active window, can also be used to close the active tab in web browser. Ctrl plus mouse scroll wheel, change the size of folder and file icons. Scrolling up makes icons bigger, scrolling down makes them smaller. Ctrl plus shift plus N, create a new folder. Ctrl plus shift plus A, displays all the folders in the parent directory of the current active folder, by expanding the list on the sidebar, if the current folder has no subfolders. Numlock plus asterisk, asterisk, or plus, display all the subfolders in the current selected folder on the sidebar. Numlock plus, minus, collapse an expanded folder. Alt plus enter, view properties of the selected file or folder. Alt plus P, show the preview panel. Alt plus left arrow or backspace, go back one page, also works in some apps like web browser. Alt plus right arrow, go forward one page, also works in apps like web browser. Alt plus up arrow, view the parent folder of the current active folder. Ctrl plus arrow, navigate the items in the current page without selecting them. Ctrl plus spacebar, select individual items while navigating. Shift plus arrow, select consecutive items starting from the currently selected one. In grid style layouts, the up and down arrows select entire rows of items. If you start moving in the opposite direction, the last selected items are deselect. Right arrow on navigation sidebar, expand a collapsed folder or switch to the first subfolder of an expanded folder. Left arrow, collapse an expanded folder or select the parent folder of the currently selected one. Home, go to the top of the current page, works in various other apps. End, go to the bottom of the current page, also works in multiple apps. Keyboard shortcuts for dialog boxes. Properties dialog box in File Explorer. Some apps can generate dialog boxes, which can include menus, properties pages, and more. Depending on the complexity of the dialog box, you may be able to use a few keyboard shortcuts to navigate it. F4 or spacebar display items in an active list. Arrow keys, select a button in a group of buttons or option in a list. Spacebar, select or deselect an active item if it's a checkbox. Ctrl plus tab, switch through different tabs, also works in web browser. Ctrl plus shift plus tab, switch backwards through tabs. Tab, move through options on the current page. Shift plus tab, move backward through the options on the current page. Alt plus letter, select the option with the corresponding underlined letter in its description. Keyboard shortcuts for the taskbar. Windows 11 taskbar. Using the taskbar in Windows 11 can also be made easier using keyboard shortcuts. Here are a few key combinations that can help you select taskbar items more quickly. Windows key plus T, cycle through apps on the taskbar, open or pinned. Windows key plus number, start the app pinned to the taskbar in the position indicated by the number. If the app is already running, switch to that app. Windows key plus shift plus number, start a new instance of the app pinned to the taskbar in the position indicated by the number, even if one is already open. Windows key plus Ctrl plus number, switch to the last active window of the app pinned to the taskbar in the position indicated by the number. Windows key plus Alt plus number, open the jump list for the app pinned to the taskbar in the position indicated by the number. Windows key plus Ctrl plus shift plus number, open a new instance of the app located at the given position on the taskbar as an administrator. Shift plus left mouse click, open a new instance of the selected app. Ctrl plus shift plus left mouse click, open the selected app as an administrator. Shift plus right mouse click, open the window menu for the selected app. Ctrl plus left mouse click, on an app with multiple windows open, cycle through the open windows for the app. Windows key plus B, set focus to the first icon in the taskbar corner. If no apps are displaying an icon, focus is set to the overflow menu icon. Other general keyboard shortcuts in Windows 11. There are tons of keyboard shortcuts for actions that can be useful in different parts of Windows 11 or in different apps. Whether you want to copy and paste text or files, refresh a page, and so on, here are some extra shortcuts you may find useful. Ctrl plus A, select all text or items in a document, page, or window. Ctrl plus D, delete the selected text or items. Ctrl plus X, cut the selected item or text. Ctrl plus C, copy the selected item or text. Ctrl plus V, paste copied or cut content from the clipboard. Ctrl plus Z, undo your last action. Ctrl plus Y, redo an undone action. F2, rename the selected file or folder. F4, display the address bar list in File Explorer. F5 or Ctrl plus R, refresh the active window or page. Works in various apps, including web browser. Ctrl plus F5 in some web browser. This refreshes the active window by forcing the browser to reload files even if they've previously been cached. This can help if changes have been made to a page but you're unable to see them in your browser. F6, cycle through screen elements of the active window or desktop. F10, activate the menu bar in the active window or app. Alt plus F8, show your password on the Windows sign-in screen. Alt plus letter, when menus are being displayed, select the option with the corresponding underlined letter in the text. Alt plus spacebar, open the shortcut menu for the active window. Shift plus F10, open the shortcut context menu for the selected item. Left arrow, in menus, move to the left on the menu, or close and open sub-menu. Right arrow, in menus, move to the right on the menu, or open a selected sub-menu. Ctrl plus F4, close the open document or tab in apps that allow you to open multiple documents or tabs at once, such as web browser. Ctrl plus A, open search in some apps. Ctrl plus right arrow, move the text cursor to the beginning of the next word. Ctrl plus left arrow, move the text cursor to the beginning of the previous word. Ctrl plus up arrow, move the text cursor up one paragraph. Ctrl plus down arrow, move the text cursor down one paragraph. Alt plus shift plus arrow key, when focus is set to a pinned app in the start menu, move the pinned app in the direction of the arrow. Shift plus arrow key, in a document, select text starting from the position of the text cursor. Left arrow, select the previous character. Right arrow deselects the last selected text. Right arrow, select the next character. Left arrow deselects the last selected text. Up arrow, select the previous line. Down arrow deselects the last selected line. Down arrow, select the next line. Up arrow deselects the last selected line. Ctrl plus shift plus arrow key, in a document, select a block of text starting from the position of the cursor. Left arrow, select the previous word. Right arrow deselects the last selected text. Right arrow, select the next word. Left arrow deselects the last selected text. Up arrow, select the previous paragraph. Down arrow deselects the last selected paragraph. Down arrow, select the next paragraph. Up arrow deselects the last selected paragraph. EAC, stop or leave an ongoing task, use varies by app, and those are most of the keyboard shortcuts you may find useful in Windows 11. All of these shortcuts give you intuitive ways to navigate certain parts of the operating system or various apps without having to use a mouse, which can break focus due to having to reposition your hands. If you want to stay on the floor, keyboard shortcuts like this can truly speed up your work. If those are too hard to remember, Microsoft's Power Toys app includes a tool called Shortcut Guide, which lets you see the available shortcuts that use the Windows key. It doesn't work for other shortcuts, unfortunately. With Windows 11 getting feature updates on an annual basis, you may find that some shortcuts may be added for different features. Keep an eye on our Windows 11 update tracker to learn more about the latest Windows 11 updates. And if you want to know what's new before everyone else, check out our guide to the Windows 11 features currently available in preview.
धन्यवाद दोस्तों, आज की हमारी ये प्रीमियर वीडियो देखने के लिए और अपना कीमती समय देने के लिए। और मैं आशा करता हूँ कि आपको ये सब कुछ समझ में आ गया होगा। ओके फिर, गुड बाय। अब वीडियो ख़त्म हो रही है। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।